Howdy, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Hope y'all are doing okay today. So, I just posted up a short about, like, if there were a politically free month out of the year where, for whatever reason, like a yearly sabbatical, call it, that people didn't engage in political discussion. Like, right after elections, everything's kind of settled in. We'll talk about the news, but we just don't talk about politics. As an example, like the economy, not getting into who I choose, but just, okay, you could say, man, this economic news isn't all that great, or man, this economic news is fantastic. And I think that, Trump or Biden or DeSantis or Nikki Haley or Kamala Harris has the best answer for this situation that we find ourselves in. Not getting into all that, just, man, the news is crazy, moving on. Or what I think they should do is, but not getting into the political Democrat or Republican side of it, and not wearing your political t-shirts or your MAGA hats or your Build Back Better or Change or W or whatever, not airing out any of your political priors. I wonder how well people get along at the end of that month. There are people that I talk with at work and in my personal and social life that I know disagree with me on a lot of highly contentious issues. Perfectly able to carry on civil conversation, get along, and speak and enjoy each other's company. Now, that said, that political tribal aspect of everything is what makes current day politics so ugly, and why a lot of people on both sides of the aisle will vote Democrat or Republican without knowing the policy prescriptions that whoever they're voting for actually has for a given situation. I personally think that it's okay to hold a lot of viewpoints about things where people may not necessarily live up to your standard or expectations of people, or they don't agree with you, or you don't agree with them or their behavior on things, but so long as everybody can agree to remain civil, you can get along. There's a lot of people that do find it odd that I am I'm trying to figure out exactly how I want to phrase this here. That I am a straight white Christian Republican, but will have the one-on-one discussions with them that I will in the tone that I'll have them with. And I'll have the Bible brought up on things, well, what the Bible says this or the Bible says that. Well, yes, it does. And, well, Bible has, well, how can you agree to a book that says this about gay people, or that says this about, marriage or whatever? Okay, well, I can give you the rational explanation, but in a nutshell, a lot of biblical doctrine is just a code of behavior to aspire to. And biblically, Christians believe that only one person achieved that, and that was Jesus. Now, I've had people say, well, you're a Christian, so obviously we can't be friends because I do these things. Well, guess what? The code of conduct that I'm supposed to be abiding by, I can't even live up to. So, judging myself through that lens, I fail, so you do too. And I think that if people could shed every one of their labels for a month and mingle around in society with those that they wanted to, I think that at the end of the month there would be a lot of open eyes on both sides of the political spectrum, or on all sides of the political spectrum rather, that, hey, this this person and I, we disagree on a lot, but guess what? He's a decent dude or decent chick. We had fantastic conversations. Maybe I had them over to dinner. Maybe they had me over to dinner, and we had a great time talking. And all of a sudden, I found out their politics, and I was shocked. But wow, I didn't realize that someone that disagreed with me on so many things could be so pleasant to hang around. And okay, now we're sitting down to dinner, and we're having these nice long discussions and taking something away from it. Close with this. I'll try to find a link to put in the description of this. Several years back, I watched a YouTube video. It was done all in night vision. They had a group of people sit down, 5 or 6 people, and people from every walk of life, but they were in pitch black darkness, and they were served a meal in pitch black darkness. Where it got interesting is, so they sit down, 4 or 5 course meal, whatever it was, and they're sitting down having, whatever their adult beverage of choice is and whatever's on the menu, and they're talking and they're cutting up and they're having a great time, and they're just chit-chatting and, random strangers for a social experiment have dinner together in the pitch black. Well, what was so interesting is they brought the lights up, and then all the assumptions that people had made about everybody that they were dining with in the dark were put to the test. As an example, there's one guy that was like, big wig at a company, and then there's another guy that's like, this heavy metal rocker, and they're all sitting down having dinner, and the lights come up, and the dude that's the high ranking official in a company, he is fully face tattooed, bald, tattoos from his skull to his neck. The punk rocker has the metal rocker has 2 piercings. He's like, dude, you should be in metal. He's like, I know, right? And they're cutting up because they all made these assumptions about, how they would look, how they would be dressed, and all of them got shattered, and it was kind of neat to watch. And last part of this story, and then I'm done. I actually had this happen to me once. Years ago, I had been cutting grass for a property owner who had their house listed with a real estate agency. They gave my number to the person that bought the property. He calls me, we deal back and forth on the phone a little bit. I agree to cut grass for him. He's like, well, I'm not going to be out there for a few weeks, but I definitely want it cut, so I'll stash some money somewhere for you, or get one way or another, I'll get you paid, and you come out and cut the grass, and then on such and such a date I'll be there. We get to meet in person. Great, I'll see you then, sir. And we had spent quite a bit of time on the phone just talking. He's a very personable guy to talk to, and it turns out that he and I ended up disagreeing with each other on a lot politically at the time. But while we're on the phone, we're talking, and I can almost picture the way that he looked in my mind. Kind of tall, slightly muscular, not muscle bound, but could lift a little more than the average bear. And anyway, I finally get to go meet this guy, and he looks like Santa Claus. But what gets real interesting is I go into his house to get paid this one time. He invited me in for a cup of coffee. We sit down and talk politics. And I seen some pictures of him back when he was in the Army, and he looked just like the dude that I had in my mind. Kind of weird, kind of cool. But everybody makes those assumptions, when you don't have all the data. So it would just be interesting to, an interesting thought experiment in my mind anyway. I've gone on long enough. Thanks for tuning in. I will catch y'all next time.